All right, so part two here about my mitral valve repair journey. And so I talked about how, on the first video, how it came to be that I even knew I had a problem, and then my first opinion, some of the things I felt through that process, and now we're going into my second opinion, right? So if you haven't seen my first video, go check that out quickly. And you can kind of hear how we got to this point. But pretty much I was told I need to get my valve repaired, my mitral valve repaired, because I have severe prolapse, which is causing my ventricle to change sizes, which can have long-term consequences to my health down the road if we don't take action now. However, with my own research during this time, I found out there was a way to do it robotically, okay? So the only reason I knew kind of about robotics was in my my grad school as a physical therapist, I got to I had a doctoring group mixed with medical students and PT students, and I had a medical doctor as a preceptor there, and he was a urologist, and he himself did minimally invasive robotics for his surgeries as a urologist with this machine called a Da Vinci. And I'll put a link in the bottom of like what a Da Vinci is, and so you guys can learn about it. But so Mayo said that there's an option, but we have to see if you're a candidate first. So I had to go down to Mayo to get testing. So I had to take a whole day off of work and drive down to Rochester Mayo and went through a gamut of testing. And let me tell you that it was a long day, a lot of tests. This whole process that I went through, it's time consuming, it's exhausting between tests and doctor's appointments, and it can wear on you a little bit. And I talked about my first one. For those that constantly are getting tests to figure out their diagnosis, I cannot imagine the frustration and stress they were going through. For me, it was cut and dry. This was a problem, and all I was doing more research in is there a different way to fix this problem? Okay, right? The two things in medicine is you have to diagnose it, and then we have to figure out how are we going to address the issue that is upon us. So I go down to Mayo, and I started off in the morning at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I think it's like 7 a.m. Had to get my blood drawn, and when you go there, they have this whole list of things that of your day. This test is at this time, this test is this time, this test is that time. It's just boom, 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 boom. It's a very, very efficient system. I was very, very impressed and have nothing but great things to say about my Mayo experience. I've talked to other patients of mine who have gone there for other things, and they've said similar things. It was a very efficient day. It was so nice that I could get all of it done in one day, other than I couldn't meet with the surgeon that day, unfortunately, because my CT scan would take too long to get the results. So I had to go back the next week for that. So I think it was blood test I got, and then I got an x-ray. I went and got a echocardiogram there, and their way they did their echocardiogram was much more thorough than the one I received originally. I spent like a little over an hour getting echo there, and then I think I had to get an MRI, and I had to see another cardiologist so they could do it. So I met with a fellow and the cardiologist there as well.
That would be a good one too. And then one with the blood flow would be awesome. So the ventricle's on top and it's kicking
ventricle's on top, and then this is the blood
going back into
blood flow going back in.
Cool. Appreciate it.
And everything was good, and even in the process, I even got a call, and they're like, "Hey, when you're done with your next one, we're ready for you. Come on up right away." And then when I checked in at that station for whatever I was getting done, I think it was the EKG, they're like, "Oh, there's a note here that you just need to go right to your next appointment," even though it was scheduled later. So the communication between everything there was just awesome, and that's when you know that a system is really efficient and they're on top of it. When communication and everything flows nicely, you gotta love it. So when I met the fellow and the cardiologist, I heard everything already with my previous things. They just kind of review stuff, things you need to think about when you're doing it. Which was, because I was there to figure out, should I do it minimally invasively? Should I use a robot to fix the issue? Or should I have them crack open my chest and go in there? So while waiting for, I think it was my CT, I did some digging on YouTube, and I actually found the surgeon who I was going to meet with, and he did some great videos on the minimally invasive robotic procedure that he does for mitral valve repairs. So he has a great presentation talking about, the research on it and the statistics of success, if there's been anyone that had to go back and redo, bad outcomes and all that kind of stuff, and just the process of going about it. And it was a great presentation, and I will also put that below here. So if you are getting a mitral valve repair, you can go and look at his presentation that he does. It's very well done. And he has another one where he's on the talk show at Mayo that talks about as well. I'll try to find that one as well and put it there. That really allowed me to get a great idea of what the whole robotic situation was. So we did the testing. I think the big thing for those that may have to go through this is everything's pretty cut and dry on the ones that I got there. Other than the CT scan, they put a dye through you, and when the dye, and they tell you this, right? They're very professional, and they tell you the process, what you're going to experience. But when they give you a dye, you get this warm feeling that will start in your throat, and that's just a dye going throughout your body. And they need that during the process. And they do a CT to get a 3D model of the heart, because when they do surgery, they use that to help guide them with it, all right? And when it goes through you, at the end, it goes into your pelvis and your bladder area, and it feels like you almost like wet your pants, because there's just this warm heat that sits there for about 10-15 seconds, and then your body gets rid of it and it goes away. But that's probably the only big thing that was really uncomfortable that day was the CT scan, is when they injected the dye. I'd say the worst of all the tests was the TEE. And I was talking to my echocardiologist, I don't know if that's the proper name, or the echo tech, I don't know, sorry if I offend anyone out there. But she was saying they do it differently at Mayo, and they don't gargle that stuff. That gargling was the worst thing. Made me want to throw up almost. But we did all the testing, and the day was done. I got to go home. However, I had to come back the next week, so that was like a Thursday. I had to come back the next Tuesday because I didn't have time that day to fit in with the actual surgeon and consult with him. So I had to drive down the next Tuesday or Wednesday, and I met with the actual surgeon, and I said, I'm only here because I wanted the minimally invasive surgery and want to know if I was a candidate. And he goes, yep, you're a candidate. And he talks about, the only difference of minimally invasive versus the open heart surgery from a technique standpoint, okay, is how they get to the heart, okay? So I'll show you a picture of what I looked after surgery, but they come in, and there's about 4 probes of this machine, of the Da Vinci, that comes in, that they use, and it comes across the right side of your chest. They go in between your ribs to get to the heart. But once they get to the heart, the surgery is the exact same. How they do it is the exact same. It's just you have a robot doing it on the heart here. The incision on the heart's the same. The way they cut the valve and they sew it up and put the ring in. The fact that they put you on bypass, it's all the same. It's just how they get there is different. So they have to deflate a lung to get over there. But what's different is when it comes to technique standpoint and how the operation's done, it's not the outcomes, it's the recovery time, the restrictions after is why I wanted the minimally invasive. One, I didn't want to get cracked open because the time to recover is much longer compared to when they do it minimally invasive. And for me as a physical therapist, I have to lift and do stuff with my muscles in this area, right? And so I had to get back to work sooner. And in order to do that, I needed this surgery versus the open. And so next video, we're going to talk about the differences between the two surgeries and why you may want to choose one versus the other, or why at least I chose a minimally invasive versus the open heart. And that can give you maybe an idea of the pros and cons of each situation and why maybe you would want to try the minimally invasive if it is an option for you, okay? I was very fortunate that it was an option for me. It may not even be an option for you, but this is something this is why you do research. This is why you explore. This is why you ask questions. You have the right as a patient to ask your provider questions, okay? Don't sit there and think that they're smart, right? they want the best for you, but sometimes they don't. Like again, like the doctor who I originally met with didn't know that Mayo did minimally invasive. I had to go and do my own homework to figure that out. Okay, so he just had moved from a different state there and only been there for 3 months, right? So there's so many factors that go into play that you have to take accountability for your own health. You have to put in your own time. You need to ask the questions that you want the answers to, and this is for any of your health, okay? It is the duty of the practitioner to answer those questions, okay? So don't feel like it's just what they say goes and boom, you can do your homework, it's okay, all right? You just have to be careful that you don't go down the route of Dr. Google and then you start scaring yourself or you start doing the wrong things because of it. It's that fine blend of doing a little homework, but making sure that you also consult with your healthcare providers, but take accountability for your own health. Don't rely on others for it, okay? So we'll jump into the difference between minimally invasive versus open heart next video. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this information useful or helpful, please subscribe to this channel. Just drag that mouse right over to the red box, click it so that you're notified the next time that I post a video. Again, thank you so much.